I know I'm recording now. So I got a text message from Leonard Aries about off angles. I don't know if you can see this or not. Turn this down a little bit. He said corner bead that's bigger than 90. So we all know that this is called 120 bead, right? So on the 120 beads here that are bigger than 90s, he said you never ever did a video on the metal corner bead that goes on here. And he's right. I've never done that because by the time I started shooting videos with for my YouTube channel, this was obsolete and I don't use it anymore. It's as far as I'm concerned, it's crap. I actually have a case of it here. It's all pre-bent. You bought it in the case. It's all splayed. It's all ready to go. And it's been sitting on my shelf, I don't know, 10, 15 years or more. It's been just sitting up there. There's probably a date on this. I'll look it up. So, okay, I got some nails here now. And the reason I say nails is because whenever I'm doing metal corner bead, I always nailed it up. Now, what happens with this is why I don't use this anymore, is because when they frame it, give you a little closer view of this. There's always that big old gap right there. Now some good carpenters will cut a wedge and put it in there so we can nail it right here. I mean right here in the corner. But in my experience, most of the carpenters would frame this like this because they're just coming up to the bottom plate and they're putting a 2x4 there and they're putting a 2x4 there and it's leaving this big hollow gap there. Now, in order to nail this on, I need these 2 1/8 inch. They're huge. They're 2 1/8 inch nails in order to catch this. And I have to nail them in here at kind of an angle in order to catch this wood here and to catch this wood here. Otherwise, all of our nails used to just be 1.5 inches. You know, screws are 1.25 inches. All of the screws that I use are 1.25 inches. The nails that we used were dry tights. These got a coating. These got a chemical coating on here that as you drive it in, the chemical on here, the magnesium that's on here or whatever it is that's on here, heats up and it welds itself to the wood. You try to pull it out with this head right here and the head just bends. It won't, you can't just pull the nail out. It doesn't do that. You always have to drive these nails in once they've set for any length of time. I can't pull them out. So ring shanks I can, but ring shanks are hard. These nails are not hard, they're soft. The heads flatten out, they cup very well, they hold the drywall in very well. Used these for years. Okay, when I put this on here, because these are going to be pre-bent to 120. Well, what if the angle's not exactly 120? It just rocks back and forth here, right? Because for this one here, if I was to put this one on, I'd bend this a little bit closer. I'd make this a little bit smaller because it's not quite 120, it's less than 120. And I'd try to get a little bit tighter fit. Now that's a little bit of a tighter fit. And then I'd nail the heck out of it and then let it go. Well, then they thought, we'll use the tape on 120 and we'll make these at 120. So, right, so these are splayed too at 120. What's really nice about this brand here, that nose, see that little nose right there, right? They have the same nose on this. So if you're matching up to something like this, and this was on there, and you gotta cut it off, cut a piece of it off, and you gotta splay into it, you can patch it with this one here, because they've got the same nose on it, right? So they came up with this, but again too, it's pre-bent at 120, and what if it's not a 120-degree angle? It just rocks back and forth. You're gonna have to bend this back again and make this work. So today what I use, and they make, what is it, four $350 or something like that. This is $325, but they make this no coat flexible corner. So today, this is all I use. And it comes flat. It just comes flat like this, but it's really nice. It's got a little piece of plastic in here in the middle with this heavy paper on the two sides with this thin paper that really screws down tight. Now, if I'm doing a 120-degree bead, I bend it one direction like I'm gonna do a 45, right? And then I bend it back like it's gonna be a 120, right? And now it's very flexible and it'll go to any size. This is my problem with this stuff, guys. If you don't use it a lot, it gets old. And when I bend it back like that, sometimes that plastic will just crack on me. It'll just slip, but only if it's old. Now, but with this stuff here now, I can open it up. I can mud this up. I can mud this thing up. I can stick this on here. I can push it in place, and it is the exact angle of what I have here. It's not rocking or anything else. It doesn't take nearly as much mud as this. This always took a lot of mud. I remember doing one house, and it had the ceiling come in like this, and then it attached to a vaulted ceiling like that. And the hangers used to always put this corner bead on there, and you mudded it up because it was so thick. A lot of times with Durbond, because we pre-fill everything here. So you fill it in with Durbond, and then you come back the next day, and you can just take the Durbond right off the metal. It didn't stick very well. So what I used to do is the day that I taped, I would take all-purpose, just pure all-purpose mud right out of the box, no watered down, and I would put a coat on that particular corner bead. I would put a coat of that because when that all-purpose dried, which was going to take a day or so, but when that all-purpose dried, it shrunk in and it tied everything in and it stuck really well to that. So a lot of times when I had this type of corner bead, it took me longer to finish it because my first coat would always be all-purpose, so it glued it down really well and it didn't shrink away from here because of the deepness of this. But my gosh, once they came out with this, I'm telling you, there's no going back. There is just no going back for this stuff. You guys have a great day. Hey, you know what? Like I said, I just answered this email, guys. I do. I answer emails. I answer the questions on my YouTube channel. You leave a comment, I'm gonna get back to you. I got guys who watch my channel who call me. There's a guy in Minnesota. He calls me constantly, talks to me. I've talked to him through a few projects and stuff, and he sends me $100 every time I do. So thank you, Minnesota. I will talk to you later. You guys have a great day. Hey, if you really like my videos, subscribe. And if you really, really like them, please just share them with somebody else. How do you like my new t-shirts? And you know, you also might want to check out these other videos that are playing right down here right now. So just click on them. All right, subscribe. Have a great day.